Hello all, Alex here with the Wisconsin Computer Club, and tonight I have something kind of unusual I wanted to show you real quick. This is the Atari 5200 Super System. This is a kind of oddball console that Atari released in 1982 as the successor to the original Atari video computer system, or Atari 2600, designed to kind of take on the world, and it failed pretty spectacularly. These things were maligned by consumers pretty much immediately, and their efforts to rectify the situation failed spectacularly, and less than 1 million of these things were sold. Well, roughly 1 million, it depends on the source, and of those, maybe, I don't know, a quarter of them still exist today, and of those that are even out in the wild, it's dubious how many of those still function. So this is kind of an interesting machine. Most people really only know about it from the various content creators they've interacted with. So most notably probably James Rolfe of the Angry Video Game Nerd, who had some rather, I don't know, strong opinions about it, shall we say. And while I don't think he's wrong, it does definitely have some serious flaws. It is huge. It has design choices within it that make very little sense, both to a contemporary and a period mindset or audience there. But I think it's more misunderstood than anything. It's, as a machine goes, it could certainly be worse, but as a piece of history, it occupies an interesting space where it coincides pretty neatly with the old way of thinking coming into direct conflict with the way things were developing and the way the video games would be developed going forward, the way the video game consoles would be marketed going forward. This thing was the old way of doing things, and it crashed and burned pretty spectacularly. So let's take a look at what it is. So starting with the good, it has 4 controller ports in the front. This is one of the first home consoles specifically built with 4 controller ports on it. Not the first, though. The first, technically, would be Atari's own Atari 400, which is their home computer system. Ironically, these two machines are very much the same thing. They use the same video chip, they use the same RAM, they use the same memory allocation tables, that kind of thing. They do things a little bit differently, as the team building this didn't want their baby taken over by the computer team, but they all used essentially the same hardware, which was all tried and true. And this was all in sort of a desperate race to catch up with and hopefully supplant and leapfrog the encroaching competition to the Atari 2600, which was starting to show its age against things like the Mattel Intellivision and the ColecoVision, and some of the home computers that were entering the marketplace, like the Commodore 64. So the 5200, moving on to its other kind of unusual design features, it has a strange little door in the back here. I don't know what you're supposed to put in there. It has little cutouts so you can put wires in there, so maybe you're supposed to put the power supply in there, although it would get really warm. I don't quite know what that's for. It makes the console gigantic, and you can't fit the cartridges in there. You can't store, I mean, maybe you can store the controllers in there, maybe one of them, but I don't know. I guess that brings me right around to the biggest problem with this thing, is the controllers. So this is an Atari 5200 controller. And yeah, that's quite the thing, isn't it? It has a number pad, as that was the kind of going trend with other systems. So the Intellivision had a number pad, the ColecoVision had a number pad, the Aquarius had a number pad. The video game systems at the time, number pads were the big thing. People thought this was the way it was going to go. So you put your overlay in here, and then your game would have different button controls for different things, so it would give you more options. And there was a logic to that, I suppose, but this was kind of the last console to try that and really run with it. I guess the Jaguar did too, to a lesser extent, although this one was the last one that really tried to make this a mainstream kind of run of things. You've got 2 fire buttons, one on either side. So you have your A and your B on both sides. You have a start, a pause, and a reset built into the controller, not on the console itself, and a non-centering joystick. This one has been modified to center, but these typically wouldn't center before, and then it has a rotation function as well. Very, very complicated and very, very, very prone to failure. This is the only controller that I have in the fleet, and this has been actually worked on by 3 different people at different times to keep it functional. And it is only just, and I pretty much only take it out for static demonstrations like this because it is so fragile. So you may be wondering, Well, Alex, how in the world do you take this thing out to shows if the controller is so fragile nobody can touch it without breaking the darn thing? That's where the other controller comes in. Atari also made a trackball controller. And this thing is fantastic. It has basically all the same inputs, but instead uses a trackball for the trackball games, namely Missile Command, Centipede, Millipede, etc. Other games can be converted over to it. It's not great for your platformers and that kind of thing, but for our applications where this thing really shines is with those kind of games, your Missile Command and your Centipede and that sort of thing. Again, you have your number pads here. You can play 2 players on this one trackball, so you can go side by side. And it's a great little piece of work here. So you can set that up, and we run that at shows, and it works terrific. So we will have that running here in just a moment. But that brings me around to the big problem with this system. Beyond even what I think is the problem with the controllers, and apologies, my furnace is firing up, it's winter in Wisconsin, is the way it connects to your TV. So we've got a TV back here, and it's got an RF input on there. So how exactly do we get it converted over here to the system? Well, the system only has one wire coming off of it. That is this guy, one little coax style wire. And for anybody who's seen the James Rolfe video, yes, that it all goes into one box. So the RF signal goes from the console into this box to the TV, but also power flows in. And yes, it does create an awful lot of interference. There are ways to modify these consoles so that they don't do that, but it's quite a process, and it kind of ruins the whole originality of it, which is what we're going for with the club. So, got our power brick here. We're going to energize that. We'll plug this end into the TV. At the time, going from 75 or 300 ohm to 75 ohm, so your 300 ohm would have been your little pigtail adapters with screw tabs in the back of your TV. I don't know if you can see those. Will it zoom in? There we go. Going to that was a big improvement. So, getting that in there, we are going to then power up the console. So we're going to see if we can get it to spark here for you, because it usually does. So, if I can just get it in like so. Get out of the way. We want to see the spark. No, that wasn't a good one. Give me a good one here. Oh, come on. Give me a good spark. There we go. That was pretty good. So, yes, they were expecting the kids were going to be able to mess around and play with this thing and hopefully not electrocute themselves every time they plug the darn thing in. So, that moves us on to the TV. So, we're going to gorilla camera this thing around over here. Going to get this guy fired up. If I can get to it. There it is. I'm going to slam a little Missile Command in there. Turn out the light. Power it up. So it has a fun little startup splash screen. And away we go. And we'll, there we go. Apologies, it's not super easy to see with the lighting as it is. Looks pretty good where I am, but yeah, I didn't do too well on that one. Oh, we'll reset and we'll try that again. So, let's see. Here we go. There we go. That's him taken care of. And we got stuff coming in over here. We got stuff coming in over here. We got stuff coming in off the center. I think my brightness needs to be turned up a little bit. There we go. Oh, missed one. Yeah, I've got my TV set wrong here. But yes, that is the Atari 5200 in a nutshell. It is a fun little system. It has, like I say, some kind of unusual properties to it that don't make it desirable for collectors, but as a one-off thing to see at shows, like, say, EverCon or something like that, it is a fun little system to try out, and I do recommend if you have a chance to try one, definitely give it a try. It is a fun little machine to give a whirl at. Not necessarily something that you might want to keep in your house, but but definitely an experience worth having. Thank you all so very much for indulging me. I think that is the end of my time. Have a great night, and thanks for watching.